Hello everyone, and welcome to the demonstration video for Word Chapter 3. Alright, so if you want to follow along with this video, make sure you go ahead and download in the Word Chapter 3 resources, make sure you download the personal training program. Let me do that real quick right now. Alright, and then let me just open it up. So you could go ahead and open it up. Let me bring the file over. And of course, make sure you hit enable editing. There we go. So we could actually start working through the document. All right, so in chapter 3, we'll be covering some concepts for how to work with others when it comes to using Word documents. So this will be a lot of, if you've ever worked with Google Docs, this will be a lot of how to manage changes, how to comment on each other, and so on. So we'll be doing that in regards to Microsoft Word. What we'll also be covering in this video is certain features that will actually help you with, especially if you're writing essays. I'll probably be providing a lot of features that will help you with writing your essays, especially when it comes to doing references. And some features that will help make your essays look a lot more professional. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so when you open up this file, and especially your homework assignment, you will notice that there's a lot of weird things going on here. There's a lot of red dashes, a lot of comments. This is usually what happens when someone has gone ahead and either created changes in a document and tracked them. I'll show you how to do that real quick, and also added comments. So sometimes documents isn't just you writing in them. It could also be someone either contributing to the document or proofreading through it. So certain word processing softwares such as Microsoft Word allow for features to show where the comments are and where certain changes were made. All of that is done in your Review tab. So let me go over to the Review tab, and you'll see a bunch of different options. Also in your own time, if you need stuff to help with spelling or grammar checks, that will be all here in the proofing. I highly suggest taking a look at those in your own time. All right, but for your projects and for tracking changes, you will see there's a group over towards the right of your ribbon called tracking. What tracking means is, hey, if I type in something new or if I change something in the document, I want it to track that I changed it or that someone else changed it. If you don't do the tracking feature, it will just show the document as it is. So it won't show that someone changed something. It'll just be like, oh, this is just how it's always been. If you're ever proofreading through someone's document, you want to make sure you track the changes, especially if that's what they're asking for. So to start tracking changes, you'll see up here the track changes. You just go ahead and click the track changes button. So it has that little page with the pencil icon, and click on it. And when you see it highlighted, that means changes are tracked. So notice, like, let's say if I want to add something to this last paragraph. There we go. It should start tracking the changes. There we go. If I turn it off, I guess it won't show for me, but typically it would go ahead and start tracking certain changes that was created to the document. All right. But that's one way to start tracking changes. You could have it checked and turned off. But usually, again, you want that checked if you want to keep track of, again, someone inserting new things, deleting parts of the document, or even formatting. All right, we'll probably see the changes more here when I show you. Take a look at the markup group. This is how you could see the changes. So right now, you'll see this little drop down. It's set to simple markup. When you hover over it, it says display for review. So this is how we see the changes that occurred in the document. So it's in simple markup. If I click on the drop down, you could see that there's other ways to do it. So all markup, if you select it, shows you all of the changes that were made very specifically. So you'll see, there we go. You could see with our change, oh, there we go. This blue right here means that I added in something new. And you'll notice here, this is crossed out because someone else by the name of Kelsey Kroll, if you hover over it, it gives information, deleted a certain part of the document. All right. There we go. You could hover over each mark. So usually it has some kind of color and highlight to it. Also some other formatting to it. Again, that's just for the changes. But you'll see here, Kelsey Kroll inserted something, some information. And then, oh, let's take a look at the speed here. And it looks like this one has more to do with a comment. There we go. So Kelsey Kroll created a comment. All right. So that's all markup. Again, a way to see exactly what changes were made. You also see, there we go, little notes along here for certain formattings that did occur. That's all markup. Back in your markup group, if you click on the little drop down for the display for review, you could do no markup. This is how the document will look with the changes that were created by the people that added it to this document. Notice there's no comments, none of that weird highlighting. Again, this is what would look like if you go ahead with those changes. If you want to see the original document, go back to that display for review, click on the drop down and do original. And you'll see that this is how the document originally looked like before all the changes. And you can flip back and forth. Original, this is how it looks like. The no markup, again, this is with the changes. You could kind of compare. All markup shows you the changes that are made. And simple markup, it'll go ahead and add in the changes, and it'll kind of show you where certain changes were made. All right. So that's how to view specific changes. At least for your assignment, I recommend using something called the reviewing pane. So just go ahead, click on the reviewing pane button. There we go. And you'll see here, if I expand it a little bit, on the left side, seems like I can't, oh, okay, I could zoom in. On the left side, you get a new pane of the same changes that were made. So you could see the changes directly in the document, or you could look at it through the reviewing pane here on the left. And if you want to get rid of it, you could click on the X, or just click on that reviewing pane button again. All right, but this is the one I recommend when it comes to looking through your changes. Notice each one, it'll say who did the change, what kind of change was it? Was it an insertion, so someone added stuff? Was it a deletion, someone deleted text? Or was it formatting? It'll also show, there we go, comments. If you want to go to specific change, the fun thing about the reviewing pane is you could click into it and it will take you to that point of the document. Let me try to find one further down. Like here, this comment, there we go. It'll take you to that point of the document every time you click into it. This deletion here. There we go. Oh, it's up at the top of the page, but it'll show you what happened. All right. The other thing about this, the reviewing pane, is it allows you to keep and reject changes. So of course, when you want someone to go through your document, they may recommend some things and some changes you'll like and you want to keep into the document. So maybe this insertion here that Kelsey Kroll did, or actually moved text apparently, maybe we like that change. So what I recommend is in the reviewing pane, just click into that change that was made. So you see my insertion point is within there at some point of that change. Then go ahead and right click. And you'll see some of the options are accept move or reject move. Sometimes it'll be accept change or reject change, or accept deletion, reject deletion, and so on. But what this means is if you accept it, that means it will keep it in the document. So it will no longer be viewed as a change. It will become a part of the document. So if I click accept move, Notice that's gotten rid of from the revisions, and now it is a part of the document. All right. Something else. So let's say Kelsey Kroll formatted, looks like some of the margins. If I don't like that, again, you could click into the change in the reviewing pane, right click, and then there's the reject. So what this means is, hey, I don't want to do that change. So it will revert it back to the originals before this change was made and get rid of this. So if I click on reject, there we go. Notice we go down to 20 revisions and it went back to what that originally was. So you could go through each of these changes, reject and accept, which ones you do like. At least for your assignment, there's some things I do want you to include and remove, but you could also go here to, so we're still in our review tab, the tracking group. If you see the accept and reject buttons, those also work if you've clicked into the document. So if you're doing the all markup, you could click into it and you could say accept or reject. You could also right click here and do the same things. All right. But notice with the accepts, I could click on the drop down. So not the button, but the drop down. And there's one called accept all changes. When you do that, it'll accept all the changes as its own and become part of the document. The same goes for the reject. If you click on the drop down for reject, you could reject all of them. So revert everything back to the original without any of the changes made. Let's do accept all changes. There we go. And notice that we're only left with comments. Nothing else about deletions or insertions. Let me get rid of this reviewing pane. There we go. So those are the changes. And of course, make sure you stop tracking it. So make sure that, there we go, that is no longer highlighted. So you could keep on editing to the document. But one last thing is you'll see the comments. Comments you could reply to. You could just be like, hello, or say, oh, nice thing that you caught. You'll type in, click enter. There we go. And you could do a change with certain comments. So these are nice, but let's say certain comments, like here, usually these comments are lit up. Sometimes you may want to keep a comment, so like keep it for documentation purposes, but it's no longer a concern. You could go to the 3 dots of the comment and do a resolve thread, and it kind of hides it. It's still going to be here. It's still going to be in the document, but at least you see a little check mark like, hey, we have addressed it, maybe we fixed that part, and we're all good to go. Something else you could do, if I click into this comment and do the 3 dots, is delete it. So this will permanently, notice I click delete, it permanently deletes it from the document. So if you do want to clean up all comments, you could just go to each of them and delete each of them. Or a quick one is in the review tab comments group, there's the show comments. If you click it, turn it off, it removes the comments from your view, but again, they're still present. If I click it again, there we go. They're all present. If you want to delete all of your comments, you'll go over to the drop down here where it says delete. Those are nice if you selected a comment, and you could click on this button as well. Or you could click the drop down. So you don't even have to select a comment, just click on the drop down, and you could do delete all comments in the document or delete all resolved comments in the document. So resolved is the ones with the check marks. All comments is everything. So if we want to clean everything up, click delete all comments. There we go, and they're all gone. So those are some simple tools you could use for review. Again, there's a lot more you could explore in your own time, but that's most of the parts you need for your project. So again, those are all the tools for reviewing documents. Now let's get into some things that will help you with writing essays and making your essays look fancier. All right. So one thing we're going to go over, you're going to go to your References tab. We're going to be working here a little more. But But one thing I do want to introduce is something called footnotes or endnotes. So if you're following along, go to any point of the document, preferably, there we go. Let's go right here to any sentence, place your insertion point, and I'm going to have you go to the References tab, and there's a group called Footnotes. I'm going to have you click Insert Footnote. There we go, and you'll see where our insertion point was up here. There's a little 1, a little subscript 1. And when I go down here, you kind of see a line with the same 1 down there. If you've ever read books or documents, footnotes is basically if you want to add a little bit of information or clarification to the end of the page. So like in this case, I could write some extra info. There we go. So now if someone were to read this as a printed out page, they'll read through the document, they'll see the little 1, and they'll say, okay, let me read to the end, the foot of the page, and they'll see that information with it. And when you keep on adding footnotes, let's do it to the end of this sentence. So again, go References tab, insert footnote. There we go. And then there's a little 2. And then the 2 down here, we can say more information. All right. So that's cool for footnotes. And the other cool thing, if the person's reading it in the Word application, they could hover over the 1 and it shows what you wrote for that footnote, some extra info in this case. Same thing with the 2 down here. When I hover over it, it says more information. So that's really cool. But again, gives the same effect as someone were reading it printed out. So those are footnotes. If you're wondering about endnotes, basically it's the same thing, but everything will be put to the very end of the document. Like let's say I put my endnote here in the pace of rides. I'll click Insert Endnote, and notice it takes me to the very end, very last page. But it still works the same. I could type in something. So when I go back, all the way back here to the endnote, this one instead shows it as an I. If I hover over it, same thing. Shows me what was written for the endnote. And of course, every time you keep on inserting throughout the document, it'll increment that little symbol. So like in this case, it would be I, and then IVV, so on. Same with the footnotes, but these ones, they go from 1, 2, 3 for each page. All right. So those are fun. Again, makes your articles or essays look a little more fancier. One thing I do want to note, if you don't like the 1, 2, 3 method, you could change how your footnotes look or your endnotes. Just go to your References tab, go to your Footnotes group, and open up the settings. Again, that's the little arrow on the bottom right of the group. There we go. And if you want to change the formatting from 1, 2, 3 to something else, you'll see here in the formatting section, there's the number format. Right now it's set to 1, 2, 3. I could click on the drop down and you have other things to choose. ABC, lowercase, ABC, uppercase, your Roman numerals, or symbols. Let's do the uppercase ABC. And then of course, make sure you hit apply. There we go. Now it changes from ABC. Those symbols are also updated. There we go here. Okay. So those are endnotes and footnotes. Again, just something to keep in mind as well as for your project. All right. The next thing I do want to show is something that will actually help you a lot with essays. So usually when it comes to essays, you may have heard, all right, you're going to do some research. You need some resources with it, whether that's books, online articles, online videos, and such. And you're going to have to write it in MLA format, APA format, however your instructor would like you to format your sources. Microsoft Word provides a way to help you keep track of those sources and also format for you in that specific style. That is, again, in the References tab, and you'll see that there's a group called Citations and Bibliography. Now, the fun thing is, usually, at least for myself, when I used to do essays, a lot of essays, I would have my own notebook in which I wrote down all of the sources I was using, all of the information needed, author, when I accessed that source, and so on. And I would get that and translate it into some kind of bibliography as well as citations. For you could do that all here in Word document. So usually with citations, let me find a sentence. All right, so usually citations, again, if you need a review for your English courses or any of your essay writing courses, citations is usually those parentheses to show that, hey, I got this information in this paragraph or sentence from a certain source. You would want that to go to the very end of the sentence or paragraph before the period. I'm going to do a space just in case, since I like things spaced out, but between that period and that space, usually we do the parentheses with maybe an author's name, but for you could utilize Word to keep track of certain things. So for instance, to start a citation, so again, just place your insertion point where it should be, go to your References tab, and go to your Citations and Bibliography group. There's a button called Insert Citation. Go ahead and select it, and you'll have two options, Add New Source or Add New Placeholder. I'm going to have you choose Add New Placeholder first. There we go. And this placeholder, you'll give it a name. Typically, that could be the name of the website you got your article from or the author. Let me use mine. So let's say this came from me, Ojeda. Click OK. And it goes ahead and formats it for you. So it put it in the parentheses, it put in the last name, and that's pretty much it. Let's do one more. Down here, again, before the period, go ahead and place your insertion point. And then same thing, go to your Insert Citation, do Add New Placeholder, and notice there's an option for that previous citation you put. So if there's different points of the document in which you are using the same source, you could just click on that. Let's do Add New Placeholder, and let's say this came from Galileo. There we go. And click OK, and it sets it up for you. Now you're probably wondering, Miss Ojeda, can't we just type in those parentheses and names on our own? And you can, but there's a cool thing about these placeholders. So again, if you click on the Insert Citation drop-down, you'll see that it's keeping track of your placeholders, but this is how it's keeping track of your sources. Of course, the names of the authors itself isn't enough to really give information about that source. Again, you want when was it written? When was it accessed by you? What website did this source come from? What year was it published? And so on. The name of the publishment. You could include all of that here in the document. In your References tab, same thing, Citations and Bibliography group, there's a button called Manage Sources. Go ahead and click on it. There we go. And let me give a quick rundown of what we see here. Here on the right side, these are the sources that you're currently including in your list. So those are all the placeholders that you've quickly inserted. Maybe you have the information with you. Maybe those tabs are open up on another page, or maybe you've written down like how I usually do. But if you want to add in information, so these two have question marks because we haven't included information. But if I click on one, so I'm going to do the one for me, Ojeda, then click Edit, you could start adding information for your sources. So typically you'll start with the type of source. If you click on the drop down, you could say, is it a book, a journal article? If you scroll down, is it a website or a document from a website? And notice the information you could provide changes along with the type of source. And then you could just start typing in the information into each of these boxes. So the author name, you could type it in. If it's a corporate author, you could click on that and start typing. Name of the web page, you could type in the name of the website, the year, month, and so on. You could keep on typing, and even the URL, you could copy and paste it here. If you want more information for the source, you could click Show All Bibliography Fields, and there's a lot more you could include. It'll show you which fields are highly recommended, so it could cite it properly, and you could just go in and include that information. One other thing to point out about editing your source, that tag name, so what appears in your placeholder, you could change within this box as well. So if you don't want the last name, you could change it to something else. But when you are done editing it, just click OK. And notice this has a check mark now because you've included sufficient information to cite it. And the same thing with Galileo, you could edit it. I'm just going to add in, there we go. So I selected Galileo, clicked edit. And let's just go ahead and add in some information. Galileo. I forget how to spell his name. Galilei, some year, I forget. Actually, that's the title. Let's say the world is elliptical. Why did I use Galileo as an example? I don't know much about him. But yeah, you could go ahead and type in different information. Again, show all bibliography fields if you need more. When you're done, click OK. Perfect. And you have information for each of your sources. And you could keep on adding new ones. Even down here, I could click New. So let's say I want to add another source. Haven't put a placeholder in, but I want to add another source. You could change the tag name. Maybe, there we go. Maybe this one comes from someone named Green. Or specifically, maybe it's John Green. Put in information. And once you put in all the information, click OK. And it becomes a part of your master list. And we could go ahead and close it. And notice your placeholders automatically update to that information you provided based on the reference style that you're choosing. So right now, up here, if you look at the References tab, Citations and Bibliography group, there's a section called Style. Right now it's set to APA. If you need to change it, just click on the drop down. You'll see different citation formats you could choose, such as MLA is one of the most popular. If you want to change it to that, just click on the option. And look, it changes it to how MLA format is. And anytime in the document you want to put a placeholder or a citation for any of your sources, you just go to the spot in which you want to insert it, go to your insert citation, and hey look, we have each of these options, even the John Green one that we included. You just click and it adds in. So very nice for keeping track of your sources. You could just include it in the Manage Sources section. And even better, let me take you to the very end of this page. There we go. So go to the very end of your document. And I'm going to have you, so place your insertion point at the very end. Go to, again, References tab, Citations and Bibliography group. There's a button called Bibliography. This one will blow your mind just a little bit. Click on the drop down. For your project, there's a specific version I want you to show. But for now, just choose one of these options. Like in this case, let me choose the Bibliography option. Click. And what you see here, there we go, inserted at that point. We put the insertion point. If you click in, this is a giant box that will basically create your references. So your formatted references, everything you included in your managed sources in the style that you indicated. So if your essay is not supposed to be MLA, maybe it's APA, you could just go to that style, change it back to APA, and it changes with the information you provided. So you don't have to necessarily remember at the top of your head how to do that formatting. You could just have Microsoft Word do it for you. All right. So again, for your project, I'm having you choose a very specific one, but just make sure when you click into it, it's this box. Don't directly type in that formatting. It's very nice that you know how to do it at the top of your head, but I do want you to make use of this bibliography insertion that you could use. And anytime you add in more sources, so the cool thing about this is, again, it updates very much like the property documents we did in one of our chapters. If you go to the manage sources, and let's just add in a new one. So remember, we go to new, let's just call this someone, author, someone important, title, secret of the world. So just something random. There we go. Let's click OK and click close. And it's not included in this document because you still have to use, or actually here. Let's see if adding in a citation helps make it appear. Not quite. So if you have included some sources or some new citations and it doesn't update in your bibliography, you will have to just click into it and you'll see that there's a little button called Update Citations in Bibliography. And then there we go. It'll go ahead and include those new sources for you. So my apologies, it doesn't update automatically, but it'll still format it for you. All right. So very nice tool for you to use. Highly recommended when you do your essays. I very much would have liked to learn this when I was in college. All right. Some other things to help you out. There's going to be a part of your project which I ask you to apply those styles to certain text in your document. We're going to do that here because it is very crucial for something called table of contents. So let me go through real quick. Let's just do very simple. Anything bold here in this document, I'm going to turn into a heading 1. And to make things easier, again, I'm going to use my format painter in my home tab, my little format brush. I'm going to go through each of these bold titles and turn it into heading 1. All right. Again, there's a very specific reason I am doing this. Please make sure you do this. Oh, my bad. Please make sure you do this first when it comes to your project. Otherwise, your table of contents will not work properly. And heck, let's do the bibliography. Even as a one-up, here, let's go ahead and turn everything underlined. Everything underlined to heading 2. There we go. Nope. Seems like I have to go ahead and use the actual selection. All right. And again, I know right now this looks tedious, but using styles is very crucial when we come across the table of contents. Table of contents, especially if you have something broken down like this in your document where you have different sections to cover information. Table of contents help readers find specific topics. So it's like a list of topics, and it shows the pages in which those topics occur. Kind of like chapters for a book. Okay. To include a table of contents, usually we want it on its own page, so let's go to our Insert tab and do a page break. There we go. Let me get my Show and Hide. So Home tab, Paragraph Group, Show and Hide. So I could see that we indeed have a page break. Let me put my insertion point before it. So I want the table of contents to have its own page. All right. So after you apply the styles to those titles or headings, subheadings accordingly, Again, those are crucial for it to work. You're going to go to your References tab, and all the way on the left, there's a group called Table of Contents and a button called Table of Contents. Go ahead and select it. And again, for your project, there's a very specific option I'm going to have you choose. More specifically for your table contents, I recommend the automatic ones. So let's do automatic table 1. Click on it. And you'll notice, just like with the bibliography, it went ahead and included all of those headings and all of their subheadings along with the page numbers they were assigned to. This is, again, a really neat feature, and it only works if you applied the styles to each of those headings. If you created a table of contents and it's blank, either 1, you didn't include those styles correctly, or 2, back in the table of contents area, you may have accidentally done the manual table, which will actually have you type in everything. But we want it done automatically for us, so just make sure you go ahead and use the automatic table and apply the stylings. Just like with the bibliography, even if you change parts of the document, like let's say new headings, new sections are added, or things were shifted and are on different pages, it will not update automatically, but you could always click into your table contents, click Update Table, and then you'd want to make sure update entire table. I recommend that, especially if new sections were added, and click OK. There we go. Ours didn't change much because nothing was shifted around, but if you added page breaks or again more information, it would shift the page numbers. Alright, so that's the table of contents. Again, very neat to have. Something else to make your essay look fancy is something called a cover page. Go to your Insert tab, and all the way on the left you'll see something called Cover Page. Go ahead and select it, and you'll have different options to choose from. Again, your assignment asks for you to choose something very specific, but in this case you could choose any one of these cover pages if you're just practicing along. Click on it, and cover pages will always be included at the very beginning of the document. And these will provide different sections in which you could click into and edit how the cover page looks. So it's, in this case, a document title. I could click in here and type in the title. So my essay, or however it was. Same thing here. You could put in the subtitle. This one I'll put by Jasmine Ojeda. And if there's stuff you don't want, so like say this abstract part, maybe I don't want it, you could just select it. I recommend clicking on the little tab of it here and delete. There we go. And those are cover pages made specifically for you to make it look very nice. Some cover pages will have parts that will insert document properties, so you could also utilize those if you're using the document properties. But again, you could go in and type in. All right. So cover pages, something very nice, especially if you want to print out your essay and hand it in. Cover page will be printed along with it and make it look, again, a little more professional. All right. So those are cover pages. The last couple of things I do want to show you is something with the header and footer. So remember, if we want to include, let's say in this case, a footer, we're in our Insert tab. You're going to go to your header and footer group. And let me do the drop down for footer. And let's just do a blank one. All right. So remember, if you know with headers and footers, you could go ahead, type in different parts, or you could use your document info to put in file name and so on. Oh, it seems like it's not included because there should be a file name. Let's do file path. Or it doesn't show because here. Let's try this footer. File name. There we go. It just doesn't show for the first page because everything's blocked out with the cover page. All right. But footers, again, you could put in certain properties of the document. You could put in your page numbers. And you will notice that there's more options in your header and footer tab. Again, this is only visible when you go into your header and footer. So you could double click into it, or you do the insert header or footer. All right. But here in the header and footer, you'll notice there's already a check mark for a different first page. That's usually automatically checked if you have a cover page. Usually you don't have a header and footer for the cover page. If you get rid of it, then that means the first page will have a header and footer. You'll also see something called different odd and even pages. If you select it, what this will do is it can alternate between different pages and the contents it'll have. So you'll notice this odd footer page, it has the document name, the file name. The even has nothing. And then this odd footer page over here, the next one, it has the file name, and the next one, nothing. So this is a good way to alternate between different information, especially with like books. Sometimes you want maybe one page to say the chapter name and the other to say maybe the book title or section. So just make use of the different odd and even pages. You will need to use this for your project. All right, with that in order, that will be the skills you need for project 4. So again, just make sure you're going through it step by step. A lot of the instructions bounce off of each other. Is again with the table contents, you need the styles for your different headings. So just make sure you're going in order with the instructions. If you skip one, you could change how the document is and the grading. All right. Good luck, everyone. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.